It's Monday, September 19th, 2005, and this is episode number 3 for Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hochberg, and today's panel includes Len Testa of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World.
Hey, Matt.
And Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome.
Hi, Matt.
Today we're talking about extra magic hours, or rather, maybe we shouldn't go to extra magic hours. Extra magic hours is, of course, a perk for Walt Disney World Resort guests who are able to get an extra hour before the park opens, or up to 3 hours extra in the park after it usually closes on select days of the year. For years it's been debated whether or not to go to extra magic hour days or not, and today we're going to finally tackle that question. So, this beckons the question that we've all been debating for years: do we go to extra magic hours?
And the correct answer is, of course, it depends. It depends on when you get there and what you want to see. For example, in the Magic Kingdom, Matt, the only two lands that are open during Extra Magic Hour are Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. So if your favorite rides are in Frontierland, there's no point in getting up early because that part of the park is going to open at its regular time. Here's the interesting thing that we found. When we look at the how much you can get done during a morning Extra Magic Hour, people tend to save the most time in the Magic Kingdom. So that one extra hour in the morning in the Magic Kingdom will actually save you about an hour of standing in line throughout the day. But at the other parks, you don't get quite the same bang for the buck. It's a little bit better, or it's a little bit worse at Epcot, where you look to be saving somewhere around 30 minutes of standing in line, and that's typically at things like Test Track, at Mission Space, and at Soarin'. You save a little bit less time at the studios, depending on whether you've got small children and whether they want to ride Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror. But we've actually found that Extra Magic Hours at the Animal Kingdom will actually cause you to wait longer than on non-Extra Magic Hour days. And we think that that's probably because a couple things. Number one is that the Animal Kingdom doesn't have that many rides, and the rides that they do have don't have very large capacities. So what happens is on its Extra Magic Hour mornings, so many people flock into the park that it essentially swamps all of the attractions that are open during the morning hours, causing long lines throughout the day. So what we found is that if you're going to see 14 or 15 attractions in the Animal Kingdom, you're going to end up waiting about 14 or 15 minutes longer, or about a minute longer per attraction on average, than you would if you went on a non-Extra Magic Hour morning day.
Wow,
Does that make sense?
That's an amazing statistic, especially about the Animal Kingdom. What about evening hours? How does that work out?
Well, that's where I chime in, and I sort of put a thumbs down on the evening magic hours, Matt, and there are a couple of reasons why.
Wow.
Unlike the old E-Ride night when Disney would put a cap on how many guests would be allowed in the park, the number of guests can vary. The guests who are walking around with the wristband are those on the property guests, and that usually means there's a lot of people in the park. And in many cases, the first 90 minutes of that 3 hours is really, really packed. And anyone who has experienced Extra Magic Hours can attest that it's quite a difference on those evenings because the wait lines are very, very long. Now, one of the things that a lot of people may not be aware of is that in some cases, for instance, in Epcot, not every attraction is also operating with FastPass. I know that Soaring does not operate with FastPass, and because of that, you can waste a considerable amount of time in line. Another problem I had was in the Animal Kingdom, where the Extra Magic Hours allows you to see that park at night. However, you have 3 options when you go into that park to do something on one of the one of the larger attractions, and that is that you need to decide whether you're going to do Festival of the Lion King, or you're going to do the Safari, or you're going to do Tarzan Rocks. Now, the schedule for those 3 attractions overlap, so you cannot do more than one. And when you come out of one of them, the other 2 have either already started or they have been completed. So
that stinks.
So what happens is that you are limited to your choices. So I really have a problem with extra magic hours. Now, the other thing is that for those people who love to dine in World Showcase, this does offer them an extra hour or two to dine late at one of the World Showcase restaurants. So in that regard, it may work well for those people. But if you are into attractions, you may want to think twice about taking in an extra magic hour at one of the theme parks.
Well, go ahead, Len.
So Mike, if you're, I know that during normal closing times at Epcot, that the restaurants will typically take party seating reservations up until like 10 minutes before park close. So that like 8:50, 8:55, somewhere in there is typically the last seating. Is it the same thing for evening extra magic hours? Will it go to like 9:55?
It depends upon the restaurant, Len. For instance, if you go to Chefs de France, they will take seatings until 10 p.m. If you go
really?
to so it varies. The teppanyaki dining room will take seatings until 10:15. The Tangerine Cafe closes at 11, so I don't think they would take anything prior to maybe 10. San Angel Inn at Mexico will take seatings until 10. Rose and Crown will take it until 10. Yeah, so most of Alfredo's will take seatings until 10 p.m. on those evenings. So it does extend though. So, yeah.
That's it for us today. This has been episode 3 of Walt Disney World Today. Be sure to visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com for the show notes, as well as the ability to send us all your comments about this brand new podcast. And we want to hear from you, so send us your questions to questions@wdwtoday.com. As always, you can look for new shows on Mondays and Fridays of every week. For Len Testa and Mike Scopa, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you next show.